Welcome to Foresight TV. I love having these conversations every Friday. We get to talk to some of the most brilliant, innovative leaders in senior living and sometimes outside of senior living. So I'm excited today to be talking to Sarah Hoit and Taylor Pickett. And we are going to do just a little bit intro video first, and then we'll get into some great conversation. Hey guys, Steve Moran here. So that's my little video complete with the crooked glasses. My team sort of scripted that and put it together, but I makes me smile every time I watch it because of the work they put into doing it. So Connected Living's been for a long time a leader of in the technology space of using technology to serve residents, to serve family members, to serve team members, and really you're committed both to excellence in the technology, but you're also committed as a leader and as an organization to making the world a better place. And then a few months ago, you made this big announcement with that you were being purchased by Omega Healthcare REIT, and Taylor is the CEO of that organization. And so the place I'd actually like to start is, and Taylor, you're probably a little bit less well known, so we're actually going to start with you and then we'll shift to Sarah. But Taylor, talk about Omega Healthcare REIT and kind of what makes you unique and you're special in the world of senior living.
So we are the biggest owner of skilled nursing facilities in the country. We also have a huge presence in senior housing, anchored by Maple, which is a very high-end product. And we're an allocator of capital into real estate principally. For the last couple of years, we looked at some of the other opportunities that could augment the business that would be helpful to residents, particularly where there was a capital need that hadn't been fulfilled. And so we've had some activity in that area, but Connected Living was our first foray into technology.
Okay, and I want to come back and ask why Connected Living in a minute, but Sarah, let's talk a little bit about Connected Living first and your passion, how it came to be, and what drives you in the whole organization.
Well, thank you, Steve. I just, first just to say, and starting the topic of the partnership, as you know, finding the right partner is everything. And we're very passionate about this business and about our brand and about how we do it. As you know, the business started from personal need and wanting to have this type of connection and a window in for the people that we loved in our family. And so finding Omega was really a needle in the haystack for us and the right partner at the right time, because we're in a moment where this passion and vision we've had for over a decade of bringing a window in so people can be connected and they can have engagement, the chance to really now go big and bring it to as many communities and as many homes as possible in the midst of what we've all faced is just a gift. And I think finding a partner that shares the vision and the why and the social impact opportunity of this moment is really extraordinary. So we feel extremely fortunate to be in this spot.
Cool. So Taylor, let's talk a little bit. In some sense, I wish Connected Living could say that they were the only ones in the space. They're not. There are a number of other platforms. We believe actually they're the best. Although I'm sort of setting up your answer for you, so I shouldn't say that. But why Connected Living?
Well, you did answer it, and it's interesting. As Sarah said, the technology had been developed, but we really were on the cusp of being able to roll it out in a meaningful way. And so we were able to bring two things. One, a substantial amount of capital, which the company needs to grow, and a lot of opportunities within our portfolio and our relationships. So for us, it was just perfect timing with a product that, as we've shown it to our operating partners, as Sarah's been out there, literally, we haven't had anyone say this isn't the best we've seen. So for us, we think we made a great decision, and the timing was just perfect.
That's cool. So can you both talk a little bit about social impact and kind of what that means in terms of driving your businesses? And Sarah, maybe we'll start with you.
Well, Steve, as you know, it's kind of who I am, right? It's all I've ever done. And it is what gets me up in the morning. You talk about passion. This is, we all have our personal stories. We all have loved ones that we've been separate from. That desire to connect and have the voice and the life and the presence of the people that we love. And this year that we've all just lived through, I mean, it's stunning, right? It's really stunning. It's nothing anyone could have ever imagined. And of course, we've been passionately building a virtual window in for a decade. And all of a sudden, that sort of passion and ability to really make a very significant impact, because we went to an essential service overnight. And I think when the doors being shut, and families have always wanted a window in, people do live separately. The decision makers, as the family members, are desperate for that in any circumstance. That's why we started the business a decade ago. But I think that Taylor and I just immediately saw this happen very quickly, that ability to be in an extraordinary moment in history with a really beautiful, innovative product that has been designed in every which way to bring joy and respect and connection and engagement and voice of this amazing generation we serve at a time where everybody was forced to have the doors closed. And it's frightening. And so I just, boy, if this is what you like to do, there just couldn't be a better moment in time. We can't sleep. I mean, as you know, we're so excited. We can't get there fast enough because a lot of people need us, and they now know they need us, and they know for an occupancy and vibrancy and being in the community you want to have, that this is essential. And so it's an exciting time to be social impact folks.
So Taylor, I think when people tend to think about REACH, they tend to think about them as this sort of organization that's all about making money, and not exactly in a negative connotation, right? So, but I don't think typically people would say, oh yeah, a REACH, a social impact company, but it sounds like you think about things very differently. Can you talk about that?
Well, we do. Well, one of the things you find out if you're in this business long enough is that care and the money go together. And so, we have a lot of shareholders, a lot of middle America shareholders, and we want to be able to return dividends to them. But we also know that quality operators are the key to having long-term financial viability and sustainability. So, what are the elements of that? Well, obviously there's healthcare, it's a huge element.
Right.
And that's gotten, the acuity within our buildings has gone up over 2 decades dramatically. And I think a little bit of what gets lost as you focus on healthcare are some of the other pieces to the pie, whether it's social or food, experiences. So for us, when you can find something that's additive, that's going to add to the experience of your residents, that's going to reinforce the abilities for sustainable dividends on the financial side. And it's the right thing to do. So it makes it really easy.
And Steve, I just to reinforce that, hey, the double bottom line is a great one, right? Because I would say right now, and knowing families the way we do, and being a family member and talking to families every day, as you know, we're a very hands-on technology company, high tech, high touch. Right. This will be the number one driver of occupancy. Families are afraid. Families need peace of mind. They absolutely are demanding a window in. And when you tell them they can't come, if you're not the building with innovation and the building where you're telling me as the daughter that I've got access and I've got visibility and I can say hi to the people I love, I'm not coming. I'm not coming at all. And so the double bottom line here of doing the right thing and giving people peace of mind and joy in life is also 100% what's going to help fill the building and bring us back to a healthy situation.
So one of the things that I've seen, and this doesn't really apply to connected living at all, but one of the things I've seen with a number of technology companies that have approached the senior living or really the aging sector is they'll come up with a piece of technology that's that they think is really cool, and maybe even is really cool, but it doesn't actually solve a problem. And so I'd actually like to dig in a little bit and talk a little bit about, kind of the problems the connected living solves. And I'd love to hear from both of you about kind of what the future problems are that we can solve, or the problems that are still out there to be solved using technology.
Sarah, it's your.
You go first. Sarah, you go first.
I'm happy to, I'm not shy. I'm happy to talk. I think it comes in a couple different categories, and I want to start back with the families. The families are the decision makers 99% of the time, and we know what we need, we know what we want, and we want a window in, and we want modern tools, and we want to talk to our loved ones, and we don't want to feel like we don't know what's happening. And so that is, we just talked about that, a major driver. But we are very focused also on the life and the vibrancy. What's the community we want to live in? What do you want for your grandmother or grandfather or family member? So the ability to have engagement. One of the things, we've all lived a horrific year, but there's real benefits right now. Innovation has raced forward it's going to race forward about 5 years in the next 6 months. There won't be a program, a community without quality virtual programming. It's now a thing. You can have your live yoga, you can have coming through your TVs or your robots, or your family can do it with you. These kinds of tools, the ability for voice and life and engagement for the residents is critical and essential. And I guess maybe the thing that is on all of our minds the most, and all of our CEOs' minds, is staffing. We have an utter and complete crisis. And I think we can play a very big part in that staffing situation. Number one, we have to run modern buildings. Millennials, people want companies that feel fun and modern to work for. They need tools where they know who's in the room. Imagine the difference. How many people walk into a room and they don't know who's there? If you know that my gram loved Frank Sinatra and that she grew up on the beach, and the things you could do when you walked into her room to totally change that dynamic, you can save staff so much time, and there are so many things we can do. And we've seen about a 40% time savings for staff when they have modern tools with one point of entry and dissemination of information. That's just expected, right, in the world. And the final thing is we're doing a lot of staff augmentation where there's things staff don't have to be doing, that remote training can come in, helping with content, other things, because we are in a crisis. People are tired, they're understaffed, and we have to attract, retain, and help our partners with that piece. So I think from the families to the resident engagement to really providing a tool for staff, that's what we're seeing.
So Taylor, I'm actually really fascinated about technology. I think we tend to look at technology and what connected living is doing in the sort of medium to high-end senior living communities, but it seems to me that there is actually great opportunity in the nursing home space to use technology as a labor-saving tool. And we know that I think maybe this wasn't true for you, but I sort of expected that coming out of the pandemic, we'd see a little bit of easing on the labor problem, and it seems worse than it ever has been. Where do you see the opportunities for technology in the nursing home space to to help with the labor problem?
Yeah, so hands-on care, you're not ever going to disintermediate in the near term. So that doesn't go away, but how can we be more efficient? I think a lot of the non-hands-on care activity, whether it's food preparation or housekeeping, you spend a lot of time with those activities. And then in terms of hands-on care, how can you use technology to be more efficient? Well, is it rounds? Is it patient gate, looking for falls? There are HIPAA things that we'll have to get around and have to deal with because you can't put a camera in a room, but there have got to be things that we can do from a technology perspective that just make it that more efficient for the actual hands-on care. And I think it's going to be baby steps. I honestly don't think this will be one big leap. And to me, connected living is kind of the first baby step of getting technology into people's hands and starting to allow them to adapt to how to use it. And it'll just progress. And the one nice thing about our platform is it's additive. we can start thinking about, well, do you add the ability to order a whole week's worth of meals and, have that and decide where that's going to be delivered, in room or not. That just still make it that much more efficient.
Yeah. So do you have, let's imagine that we can get in a time machine. Actually, before I ask this question, because that's sort of a big dream, I actually want to talk a little bit about one more thing about technology. What about the affordability issue? I think there are two interrelated, really closely coupled, confusing, jumbly things, and that's that technology is seen as expensive, and people feel really afraid because they're required to sort of make this big upfront investment before and they think and they hope it works, but like, I've got to spend all this money before I know if it works. How do you, I'm going to, Taylor, because you're smiling, I actually want to hear from you first about this, because this is a reality that I hear from people, and it creates paralysis.
Yeah, I think that's true. And then when you actually show someone what it costs, they realize it's not all that big a deal. And the interesting thing is, you'll ask some of our senior leaders, even on the skilled nursing facility side, how many residents have a phone, and it's still a giant percentage. So the tool that you're going to drive off of is already in people's hands. You're not paying for that. So then it goes to kind of Sarah's world of, well, what does it then take? And Sarah, do you want to just talk about that?
Sure. And I think, Steve, I'm really glad you brought that up, because we go into some buildings where people don't have to make any technology investment. We have sophisticated technology. You can reach the internet, you can reach us. You already have a big screen. I can plug in a media stick or media player and bring the whole thing alive with content. You download our iOS or Android app, you've already got a phone. All your staff and your families are connected. You didn't spend any money right there, maybe $200, right? So this isn't about buying all kinds of gear. Now, obviously, there are modern things that are nice to have, and if you don't have it, we can help you acquire it. But I think the thing that we find more with our system is people being very surprised at how incredibly cost effective it is. We have built it in a way that it really is easy to bring in. Now, there's also some really fun things happening. I mean, we've helped bring robotics into the industry, and we've got TEMI. We have things we've been doing forever with the digital signs and the TV and the mobile apps and bringing voice in. TEMI's bringing a new element. It gets into this back conversation, but he's a robot who costs less than $4,000. I mean, a lot of the other robots on the market are very expensive. So TEMI's like an expensive computer, and boy, oh boy, now you've got navigation, talk about presence, bringing families into a birthday party, remote docks. Like, TEMI's interesting. You can do some rounds while you're not even there. So, we're really seeing what this is going to bring, but we have clients adopting this piece of the portfolio, which is newest, in a very exciting way. And I do want to just say one other thing. This isn't just about efficiency right now. It's also about joy. We have got to have some fun. I mean, this has been, you got to have some fun here. And I have yet to see someone not smile when he comes rolling on.
Yeah. I have to tell you, Sarah, I'm actually blown away in the puzzled kind of way. To me, you should have 1,000 orders, 10,000 orders for TEMI robots. I think that if I were somebody who were trying to sell my senior living community or my nursing home, I would want a robot in every single building, because, I mean, is there somebody out there who thinks robots are stupid or scary? Probably, but not mostly. Every story I've ever heard, as I've talked to people who have robots in communities, is the residents love them. The families tend to be puzzled by them, but not necessarily afraid of them. And I think that your point of joy is something. We're in a serious business. And we're with the people in the last chapters of their lives. But we need more joy and more fun and more smiles, right? So
yes, we do. No, it's a whole new element. So we are seeing it. And I think one of the other interesting things with robotics, I've been looking at it for a long time, about TEMI, is the humanization piece of it. When you call in through TEMI, it's your face. It's me talking to you. I roll in on TEMI. It's my face. I'm saying hi to my loved one. This whole companion device. And one of the things that we are doing quite a bit, we're very focused on home too. Home is not the enemy. Home is the partner. Yeah. We have a home connect where you can, if you're coming from a short-term rehab and then going home, you can have companion devices, you can be connected, you can have engagement. Your home is just where you are. It can be your room in the senior living, and it can also, we can have extended services for our clients, extended revenue, extended services in the space around our community. So there's a lot of things that Taylor and I are seeing that have been ideas people have talked about for some time, and now people are really ready to do it. They're ready for Home Connect. They're ready for innovation. And, talk about occupancy. You do your family tour on the robot, you can see and hear everything. You can see the rooms. Like imagine as you start trying to compare different senior living communities, the ones who show you this kind of stuff, just download our app and stay connected. We'll show you the rooms, invite you to dinner. This should be expected, but we can do all of this now, and families do have choices. So I'm really very focused on that piece of it too, obviously.
Cool. So dream for me about, I'm going to come back to this question. We're 5 years, 7 years down the road. We've continued to evolve. What is I sort of use a maybe overused term, what does the tech-enabled senior living community, the tech-enabled nursing home look like? Taylor, start with you.
I think it is iterative, and it's just a continuation of what Sarah's already talking about. So the ability of someone in a room to ask for and receive whatever their needs are very rapidly and be able to communicate with loved ones and staff very easily, maybe without the need to press any buttons at whatever point in time. That I think 5 years, that's a reasonable goal. Sarah, what do you think?
I think so too. And actually, one of the things I'd say, Steve, is here. We already have clients who, we have extraordinary clients. And one of the things that makes me so frustrated in this industry is if people were actually in these buildings, they know how special they already are. We have a PR problem here, but honestly, those buildings exist. So let's talk about Maplewood and Inspire Manhattan. And we've done all the technology. They've got smart home in every room. We have environmental controls and switches. We have voice where you can, with Alexa Hospitality, to ask for anything. We have 24 digital signs with different information in different places. We have engagement on the TV. We have Temi on every floor. Like, it's here. What is possible, and it is not prohibitive. It actually in some cases is pennies on the dollar when someone's doing new construction and they look at the piece of what we would take to really make it like that. It's exciting. So yes, I know exactly where I want to live, and I know exactly what I want for my parents. And people want to date, and they want to socialize, and they want to see their kids, and they want access. They want to learn French. They want to dream. And we know we're dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia. We know that about 80% of the people we serve, whether they're diagnosed or not, it's horrific. And if we understand how long that we have people, to give them a voice and their story and legacy and purpose like that, it's not the technology, it's what's coming through it and the why, which is actually why we exist. But I think, Steve, I think it's already here. And I think if we could just shine a window into these amazing, inspiring clients that we have in the buildings that Omega's invested in, they're out there. So they're out there, and it will only continue to evolve. But I do think now, from this moment forward, I felt like the lone voice crying in the wilderness, says the Dartmouth girl, for about 10 years, right? And not anymore. This is now an essential service, and this industry is forever changed. And those who do not adopt modernization and innovation really won't have the people, because we need to. And so I see a lot of hope and a lot of change on the horizon. Okay, so I'm going to transform you from CEO of Connected Living to the marketing director in AAE. I'm gonna pull you away from Maplewood for a second, because in some sense that's sort of an easy sale, right? Because it's so special. But I'm going to pull you away to sort of a more middle of the market community that's fully, or 80% there with Connected Living. What's the story you tell to a family member when they come in about why your community with all this technology is better than the community down the street that has just a basic call system and a basic cable TV and maybe a hardwired phone? Well, Steve, you know that, I mean, every building and every location, this is not about being in the highest end, fanciest building. People are fairly simple, and aging is the great equalizer. People want a couple of things. First of all, they want their families and they want community, and they really want presence. It's fairly simple. And to be able to give them that, and to give them that, you need some technology in the room, which people are adopting, and seniors find that if a grandchild or a family member is coming through, they are adopting, and people count seniors out, they are adopting. So that's very simple, and that can happen with absolutely in every setting. The other thing is engagement. What is it that I'm going to do during the day? People want purpose. They want to be, I want to do my yoga. I want to talk to my friends. I want to learn a language. I want to, and they want interaction. So they don't just want it to be passive, you know, and so all of those types of things that comes into any community we have. And I think that, you know, this thing I mentioned earlier, when your staff, we know there's turnover with staff. We know there's a lot of things happening in buildings, but if you could actually walk into a room and know who that person was, how different your job would be, and how delightful your job would be, and how easy that is, and how few people actually walk into a room as staff knowing who's there. Yeah. And so those are the kinds of simple things. They seem obvious, but they're really not happening in a lot of places. And as Taylor said, we can do a lot of things, but very simply, if you can just light up the building, being able to bring the outside world in, you can put a device in someone's hand where they can reach their family members, and you can give staff a tool to work with where they actually know the lives and the amazing people they're working with. That's it, and that doesn't take a whole lot to do.
Yep. So Taylor, as you're talking to your operators, what are they saying? What are you hearing? And what are you saying to them about sort of upping their game with technology?
You know, it's interesting. We have operators coming to us. So the last few conversations I've had with our big operators, they're already looking for solutions. And so it's easy for me. I just say, call Sarah.
Yeah,
have your solution. But that's new. That is new. We haven't seen that focus, and COVID-19, you know, kicked that can across the road. Everyone is focused on it in a way that it just hasn't existed, and the sophisticated folks know they need to do it. And it's not just senior housing; it's skilled. It's all settings. So it really becomes a relatively easy sell. I think the hardest part were some of the things you were saying, Steve. You know, tell me about the economics. Tell me about how I implement it. Tell me, how do I get it done? And the beauty is Sarah and her team are just a one-stop shop. They can get it. They can do it all. So again, it's just getting enough people out there to get the message out.
Yeah. So Taylor, one more question for you, and then I've got my favorite question I like to ask every senior living leader. But the question for you is: so this is your first investment into the technology arena. Should we be expecting to see further acquisitions that are complementary to what Sarah's doing?
Probably. You know, we're looking at tech that's emerging. You know, we don't need to be a electronic medical records company. That's solved.
Right.
Emerging tech for us is interesting.
Yeah. And I do think there's a lot of really interesting stuff that's happening on that space. Okay, here's my favorite question for you. And that's this. You've already seen it, so this is not going to be a surprise. And that's, imagine that you're, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years in the future, whatever that number looks like for you. And you're starting to think it's time for senior living. What is that senior living community that you're going to want to move into look like? What's that like? And Sarah, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll let Taylor have the last word. And then we've actually got a freebie we want to offer you. So Sarah, go first.
Well, knowing me, the social will be an important part. Activities will be an important part, and being able to be hopefully athletically involved. But the intellectual piece of it, all the things we've been talking about, I mean, the engagement and family, you know, we're going to want to access the people that we love. We're going to want to travel. We're going to want to do things. The concierge white glove element, which again it's something we can bring to bear. I think it's what everybody wants. It's what people want right now. And I'll go back to saying, forget 20 years from now. We really can do so much of this now, and it's all really possible.
Right. 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 Well, I'm saying 20 years because I'm not trying to suggest you're going to be due for senior living 5 years, not because of what's not possible.
You know my age.
Yeah. Taylor?
Well, if Sarah's 20 years and I'm 10, I think it's everything that Sarah said. How close can you get me to how I lived when I was in my home?
Yeah.
Including all the activities that I enjoyed. And so the closer you can get to that, the better from my perspective.
Cool. I love that. So we are about out of time. I do want to offer Connected Living put together this great list of tech essentials for senior living organizations. And so we want to make it available to you. You type the word, you text the word tech to 196-659-5287. So just the word tech. And what will happen is if you're already in our system, you'll immediately get a link back to download it. If you have not registered before, there's one thing I have to tell you about that the way the system works is it asks for your birthday, which seems really, really intrusive to me. So we'd actually sort of like to know the day and month, but feel free to lie about the date. I know a lot of people are really weird about that. Or if you want to make up the whole thing, I don't care. It forces you to put anything in there, but you don't flunk or not get it if you don't tell the truth. So you can, put it in that you were born in the 1800s. That would be kind of cool to see. So what we'd love to be able to share that with you. There are these 10 essentials that we really think that every senior living community really needs to have to be able to carry us into the next generation too. And we tend to talk about it in the context of what's going to be for the next generation, but really it's the generation today wants this stuff, right? So with that, we're about out of time. Any last words, Sarah, and then Taylor?
You know what? I'm just going to thank you because you bring a passion and a voice to this whole industry that's really fun and needed, and we're happy to visit you anytime. Thank you for spending time on this, Steve.
Yep. Taylor?
I echo those words. Thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching. And it's so great. This is the best industry in the world. We are on the verge of transforming what it means to grow old. We are going to crush. We have the potential to crush the ageism problem because senior living is the one thing that offers the opportunity for older people to make new friends, foster old friends, and really continue to give back to younger generations. That's our opportunity, and that's really what this technology is about. That's what really Omega is talking about and doing with their communities. So with that, thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.